We have now reached at the core of this book. So far, I was just building up the momentum to understand the technicalities of learning and education. In this chapter, I'm going to lay the foundation for the remaining parts of the book. What you will learn here is very important to master the four brain learning approach that I'll be using to study and learn about all the various subjects. As I'm writing this particular section, I feel like I'm in front of a large audience of highly skeptical and well learned educationalists, academicians, or professionals. It seems I am trapped on both sides, like walking on a double-edged sword. On one edge, I have the need to be clear and make the points in this section well understood, and the other edge, I need it to be as short as possible. Those of you who are watching the video book format should be able to understand this in one video. And those of you who are reading the ebook shouldn't need more than 1 hour to understand this concept. So I am both thrilled and anxious. So being educated is not only about having a degree. It's about how we think, how we use our minds. So what differentiates an uneducated person and an educated person? Well, in summary, it's in the way the person processes information that he receives from the five senses. Then it is the cognitive skills he has to make sense of those information and use them to achieve certain objectives and outcomes, like an essay or the solution to a problem. The educated person has knowledge of how the various information in the world that we sense are interrelated. Finally, being educated is the possession of wisdom to synthesize the knowledge into new forms in order to solve and understand new problems. So, in my definition of education, the more educated a person is, the better he is able to make sense of the information, the higher are his skills to process that information, the vaster is his knowledge on how things are, why they are, and how to change them. And finally, the more expansive is his wisdom to integrate the knowledge from multiple subjects. I'm sure that if you Googled this question on what it means to be educated, you won't get this particular answer. This is because it's something that I invented out of my wisdom, based on my knowledge, using my skills to interpret all the information around me. I know I'm talking in riddles apparently to you because you are not familiar with my concept of education and learning. But through this book, I invite you into my model or framework of learning that I call the four brain learning. If you have noticed, the words information, skill, knowledge, and wisdom are the same ones that are shown in the diagram. Now that I've explained what it means to be educated, albeit not in the standard Google way, let me explain to you that particular diagram. You'll see that there are four boxes. You can read this diagram by starting from the information box. Then you have to go to the skill box to your left. Then you've got to jump line and start with knowledge box. Then read to your left and read the wisdom box. Each box consists of dots. To understand what those dots are, we have to start with the first box of information. I'll be talking about them in more details later on. For now, I'm just going to describe the diagram. The dots represent various forms of information. The things that we see, hear, taste, feel, and smell. They could be physical objects, or they could be letters on a screen or a book. They could also be feelings, emotions, thoughts. So, learning begins from information. The second box, which is skill, is the same one as the information, except that now you can see that there are lines joining the various dots or pieces of information. This is to symbolically represent the ability to make sense of that information by writing, calculating, reading, drawing, comparing, contrasting, proving, disproving, and so on. You'll notice that all these various skills are those that we learn when we go to school or college. In the third box, it is again the continuation of the skills box. However, now you'll see that some dots are now star shaped. This is to signify that some information is more important than the other information. Then the triangle represents a cluster of related information or skills. Finally, the wisdom box comes from the knowledge box. Now you'll see that some of the points that have been removed and the position of the various triangles has been spaced out. When one of the triangles has been shaded in red, this is to imply that wisdom shakes up the standard conventional knowledge and put the same information, skills, knowledge in a different perspective that are easier to comprehend. In this way, with wisdom, we're able to solve new problems as we discussed earlier. So, in this way, you have understood what being educated means and the outcome of education using the forebrain learning approach. There is still a very long way to understand it fully, but for now, it is the most crucial ingredient in the process of understanding the forebrain approach. I know that there might be some doubts, and thus I request you to have a kind of suspended disbelief, like you would have if you are watching a science fiction movie or any movie. Allow me the time to elaborate more. So now let's move into the details of each of the four boxes. Information is everywhere the moment we open our eyes or wake up in the morning. In fact, it's even there when we dream. But let's not go there. The sun rises in the morning. In the news, we read that there's a new president or prime minister. A notification comes on our mobile phone. Our parents get on our nerves because they do not understand our behaviors and compare us to others. We get hungry. At work, we receive the tasks to do for the day. In the class, the teacher explains various topics. We go to the shop and we are given a bill with a total amount to pay for all the goods that we have purchased. Sometimes you get the fever and the thermometer reads 100 Fahrenheit. We take the medicines and we look at the ingredients. We try to make sense of the funny names of the various prescription drugs that we are given. Then the sun sets and the moon appears in the sky. Sometimes we can fall asleep right away. Sometimes it's a sleepless night. We don't recall all our dreams, and the next day the alarm goes off again, and we wake up, and the sun rises again. Now, these are all various information, whether we are educated, meaning that whether we studied up to graduation or dropped out in class 4 or never went to school, this information will be there. As long as our five senses are working, we can perceive all those information. The blind person will not be able to see, and the deaf person will not be able to hear, but still they can perceive information. So they have a rudimentary level of learning whether the person has the five senses working or some of them not working. Information is what we experience on a daily basis. It is the relationship we have with the world. We might not know how the computer or the mobile phone works, and certainly not know how to fix it if it's broke, but we know how to relate to it. We care to use the various apps. Similarly, we might not know how to cook, but we certainly care to eat food. So, by information, I am implying anything that we relate to on a day to day basis. Since we are social animals, information also includes opinions of other people as well as hearsay, gossips, and so on. We might not know how to verify, test the various hypotheses that we hear all day long, but we care about them. We might not be able to prove whether Mr. X has an affair with Mrs. Y, but we can relate to that information. The opinion of the creationist that the world was created by God is difficult to prove or disprove, but anyone can put that opinion forward and relate to it, being for or against. So these were just a few examples of what information is. It is the basis of our perception of the world. In terms of being more educated or less in the context of information, it means simply to be able to perceive more information from the same source than others. For example, you can see your friends, someone will just see a face. That's an information. This face belongs to my friend. Then another person who is more educated in terms of education can see that that face has a rectangular shape and not an oval shape or a round shape. So the information is finer. Then another person might notice that there is a frown in that friend's face that was absent in the day earlier. In this way, you realize that simply looking at the face to get more information can go into more expansive scopes. You can say that some people have got sharper eyes or ears. So the next problem that we have in terms of learning is what to do with that information that we perceived. So this is where the lines in the second box come in. Now we need to develop certain skills. We need to turn some of the information into data, some into facts, and throw the remaining because they are not relevant. Then we must be able to use our brain to manipulate the useful information into something more useful. So if you are getting the information of being hungry, then the skill of cooking will become quite handy. If your mobile phone or vehicle breaks down, that is an information, but you would look for somebody who has the skills to fix it. If you have a high fever of 100 degree Fahrenheit, you need to have the skills to lower the temperature. If you are given a bill after shopping and you are not confident that the amount is correct, you will have the skills to calculate the total. If you get the notification on your mobile phone, that's an information, but you will need to have the skills to read what's written on it and to reply back. You read the news that there's a new president, but you'll need to have the data about the political system in your country to fully understand that particular news. So, skills are needed to do something with the information that we receive. There are so many skills that we learn in school and college. They become handy in our day to day life. So, the more educated a person is, the more skills that person has. Whenever we are presented with a decision to make, the skills that we developed of weighing the advantage and disadvantage of any topic will help us in our decision making process. The skills of adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, finding the percentages, making ratios, all help us to navigate in the vast ocean of information that our lives are made of.